both image trace if you've forgotten, as well as how to manipulate complex images that you have image traced with the pen tool. If you cannot remember how to image trace, you would go in and place your image, which I've already done. You click place and then select your image and press enter. And since I've already selected this or placed this image into Illustrator, I am going to show you how to image trace it. I haven't image traced it yet. The image trace tool usually pops up here when you import a JPEG into Illustrator. If not, you can go to Object and scroll down to Image Trace and click Make. So right now it's image tracing. It did it really quick. It's done. If you want to adjust it, again, it is this little like list looking menu here that will come up, and you can manipulate it either pressing it to one side or pushing it over to the all the way to the other. Somewhere in the middle is where you want it. I'm pressing Command Z to undo to get it back exactly where it was. And I have selected default. There are a lot of other ways that you can do this. Black and white logo, shaded, all kinds of things. Trace results, you can just have lines, you can have outlines with the source image, you can just have the source image. Multiple ways to do that, but for this particular exercise, we're just sticking with the default, tracing results, and black and white. So we're going to expand that. And now you have, I'm going to close this window. Now you have just shapes. You no longer have the image that you had before. So the way to manipulate this is two ways. You could go to your direct select tool and go in and select these points here. But I am going to do something a little bit different first, and as you can see, it's a shape. With the direct select tool, you could click the shape, the whole shape. I'm going to take this over to the artboard because, as you see, when I take it over to the artboard, it does this. So I'm going to select, because I'm in the grouped part of it right now. It's a group, and if I'm going to take it over to the artboard so you can see what I'm talking about. See, the white is still in there. The background is still there that it came in on. And if you want to delete that, you can either double click on that group to get into the group, and then select the white part and press delete. And you could also keep going with all the white bits that you need to get rid of. And I did that again by double clicking on the image to get to the group. As you can see right now, I'm in the group up here on the top left, and I'm also over here. You can see all the pieces of the panda in the layer, the isolation. It also says isolation layer. So you can see all those. So you could select one of them if you wanted to and work on it while you're in the group. You don't have to do that. You can do it when you're not in the group. So to get out of the group, you can either click the back key or you can just double click on the artboard. Now, this is still all one piece because it's still grouped. So I'm going to push this back onto the artboard. And the way that we can manipulate this, and you might want to do it not on the artboard so you can see it a little bit better, because you might get confused with the white and the not white, to help you be able to distinguish that a little bit better. There's two ways you can do this. Again, the direct select tool, you can get into pieces of the panda to change the shapes, and I'm just going to zoom in with either Command plus, or you can use your magnifying glass. I'm using Command plus because it goes faster than the magnifier. And so now I have my direct select tool and I can manipulate these. I can change the shape of them by pulling on these handles. This is called the anchor point, this part right here, the little square, and these parts are called the handles, if you didn't know that already. You can also change the shape of it with the direct selection tool. You can bring it out to a point or make it more curved. These are the basic ways to work with them. If you wanted to have more control over what you did with the information, you would want to use the pen tool. But the easiest way to work with them when you're first starting is direct selection tool. If you only want to move them around and you only want to like change the shape a bit here or there. If you wanted to add anchor points in or cut things up, that you have to use the pen tool for that. And the pen tool is over here on the left hand side, and I like to have these out when I'm working with the pen tool because I'm going to show you how to use the pen tool to cut some things up and also to add anchor points and subtract anchor points. So one of the problems that you might run into is this is all one shape. So if I were to go over here and get my selection tool and click on this part right here, this is all one shape. So I double clicked on it to get into the group, and then as you can see, it's a path I've clicked on as well. So it's gone into the group, it's gone into that particular path. Each one of these is a path, the nose and the eyes and the ears. But this is all one shape because it's connected right here. So I'm going to go out of the group in the path. I'm going to take my pen tool over here, and you're also going to need another tool, which is the scissor tool, to work with this. I'm going to zoom in more on this little part right here and grab my hand tool and pull it down. Okay, so grabbing the pen tool, clicking, I'm going to hold down the command key because if I just have it as the pen tool, it's going to make up a point. So watch, it'll make a point. That's not what I want. So this is basic. I could make a shape here like that. That's not what I want. I'm doing Command Z to undo. I want to be able to select these points in here, this one and this one in particular. And I can't do that without holding down the command key. Command key. I'll say it again. Command, 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 command. Command key. It does go to the direct selection tool, but you can flip back and forth between different pen tools quicker with commands. So it looks like the direct selection tool. So I have these two tools, these 2 points here. I don't want them to, I want to cut that right there. So I'm going to grab the scissors and I'm going to go right across. It'll let me. Nope. It's saying I have to be on an anchor point. Nope. I can't be on an anchor point. There we go. I got it. I'm going to go in closer, Command plus, Command plus, Command plus, because I want to really see what I'm doing. As you can see, I didn't get quite all of it. I'm actually going to go in a little closer. You can see right here, I'm not sure if I got all of it. I'm going to get my pen tool again and Command and hold down the pen tool. Oh, I did get all of it. Oh, good. Okay. So now this is 2 shapes, except there's a little tiny shape right here that it didn't quite get all of it. So I'm going to select it with the Command pen tool and delete it. I clicked to delete twice because there was more than one piece there. So now this is separate, but the problem that we have here is that it doesn't appear that these are still connected. Let me see. They are still connected. However, if that had happened where it cut one of the anchor points off and you didn't have a closed shape here, like these weren't connecting or some part of it wasn't connecting. Let me check up here to see if this one's connecting. It does not look like that one's connecting. See this handle way down here? I'm still holding down the command key because I really like that. It gives me a lot of control. So this does not look like this point here and this point here is connected. However, I don't really need this point here, so I'm just going to let go of the command key, and if you can tell, a minus key comes up, and that's where I can remove a point. So I'm going to just click on that. Come on, let me remove it. Nope, it's not going to let me. it did a point instead. I must not have been right on it to delete it. If that happens, you can just go up here and get the minus tool and see if that'll work for you. There, that worked. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my pen tool, and I'm going to command, click, and then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to shift, command, click, and I'm going to join those 2 points so it is a closed shape. If it's not a closed shape, you'll run into difficulties either with stroke or feel a stroke in particular, because if you want it to have an outline, which you don't for this project, but in the future you wouldn't have an outline. It would stop at that point, at those in between these 2 points, because there's no stroke there. So to get them to join, I'm going to go to Object, Path, Join, and now you can see this blue line here. I'm holding down Command again. You can see that they're connected. And this one might be, this one's movable. This one does, oh yeah, it's movable too. But as you can see, they do not have handles on them as some of these other ones do. Let me see if this one does where we cut it. It has a handle, but it only has one handle, and I'm going to have to join these shapes as well. So I'm going to, again, Command, click, Shift, Command, click, and I'm going to go back up to Object, Path, Join. As you can see, you can also go Command J. And now this is a closed shape. You can see this little blue line down here. If to show you there's a line there, I'm just going to swap the fill and the stroke so you can see there's now a stroke there on that line. All right, so now we still have a bit of a problem. This only has one handle, so which means you cannot really manipulate this other part over here. If you want it to have 2 handles, you would go up to the top bar up here and say Convert to Handles. Convert selected anchor points to smooth, which will make it have 2 handles. And if you want it to be, if you want to be able to select it and change it, this will, I'm holding on Command again. I'm almost always holding on Command when I'm selecting anything, when I'm in the pen tool. It just keeps you from creating another point. This will be like a seesaw that'll move up and down on both sides. If you do not want that to happen, let's just say you want this to be a right angle, but you can't get a right angle without the other side being curved. You would go into this tool here, and you would click on it, and you would be able to just move one side of those handles to make it a right angle. And you just line it up against, right on that line. And then you could go back to your tool, your pen tool, Command click, and then you could make this any shape you wanted. You could also use this tool again, and it would be straight. So you could use both of those. So now I'm going to press V to get out of the pen tool so I don't make any anchor points by mistake. I'm going to press Command minus to get out further so I can see what's going on now. Now I have my panda back, and I can manipulate this ear again. If I want to go into the group, I double click, and I can move this ear anywhere I want. And it's not connected to the rest of the body. So you can do that also with any of these points in here. If you wanted to get rid of any, like this is one, I'm double clicking again to get on into the group. And I could ungroup this if I wanted to. Sometimes it's better to have it in a group because you don't want things to move independently, and if it's grouped, they'll all move together unless you go into the group by double clicking on it. But if you did want to ungroup this, I'm double clicking to get out. It would be Command Shift G, and it should no longer be, oh, sometimes you have to, oh, I wasn't on it. Command Shift G, and it should now be out of a group. Another way to do that, I just did undo to get it back into a grouped formation. You could do, I think it's under here. Yes, ungroup. Or you can just right click and ungroup here. That's the 2 ways you can do it. So you can then go and manipulate or make these smaller, than or bigger than they are right now. And so if you wanted to continue to, see, this is like one shape here. If you wanted to continue to change these and cut them into pieces, again, you would use the scissor tool. And with the scissor tool, you have to be on 2 points. You see how when I did it, it would say like, oh, you have to be on, oh, it might not do that now. Let's see if it didn't work. Yeah, okay. So if I'm on it and I click there and there and there, it'll cut it open. But if I try to drag, it's not going to let me do that. I have to click. So I have to click and click to create a cut. The knife tool is different. I believe you have to like drag a line across or like create a point of some kind. I don't use the knife tool that often. I was just looking to see if I made any cuts in it. I prefer the scissor tool because I have more control over it. And it says, please use the scissor tool on a segment or an anchor point, but not an end point of a path. An end point is the one that has only one handle or no handles. So if it has handles, you can use it on that, but you cannot use it on the ones that don't have the 2 handles or a segment. Please use the scissor tool on a segment or an anchor point, but not on an endpoint of a path. So wouldn't do it probably because this might be an endpoint of the path, like one with no handles. That's why it won't let me do that there. But as we did it up here, it did have endpoints, and it did let me go ahead and cut it at these 2 points right here. So again, you can try this out and keep practicing at it. It does take a lot of practice to get used to. As long as you can remember, when you click on the pen tool, hold the command key down, and you'll be able to select a point and change it anyway while holding down the command key. Don't let go of the command key, because once you let go of the command key, then it turns back into a pen tool. So I'm holding down the command key. Anytime you see that white, it's the command key. It's the command key with the pen tool. I let it go. It's not the direct selection tool where I can go in and change anything I want. Again, this one has only one handle on it, and you can convert it to have 2 if you want. And you see how it's like, oh, it looks like it did it, but you're not sure if it did it. You can go in and see, oh, it did put 2 handles on there, but a little teeny tiny one, because it probably was very short to begin with, the first one. So I'm, again, command key, and I can pull that out any way I want. You can add points to a shape anywhere along the path. This is the path. And then you can command key, and you can start changing them any way you want. You can subtract, like I showed you before, subtract, subtract, and it'll change it to whatever shape you want. This should be the basics that you're able to work with your images, that you have image trace for this project. If you have any questions about how to use it, or if you run into questions about like joining or cutting, just let me know and I will help you.